staying with us. David Rudoi is leaving the studio. David, thanks for your participation tonight. Very, very effective. And the legal commentary was amazing. Amazing. I didn't realize and didn't think in those terms ever. I'm glad you set me straight on all of that.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it.
You can stay. Now we got you if you want some time. Where's our guest here? We've got, where'd Terry go? Terry. There she is. Let's,
Here.
Yes, okay, there you are. Good. Thanks for, see, we worked it out. It worked. I saw Terry this week in court. She was there supporting a friend from the community, and she said she'd been on hold and wanted to call in and talk a little bit. So, everybody, our good friend Terry. Come on.
I am here. Can
What's
you
going
hear
on?
me?
What do you think? Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I wanted to comment about making a trip to Renee Wolf Memorial Cannabis Camp over last weekend. We had a bigger turnout in honor of Renee Wolf than what we've been able to get to Lansing in the last 2 years. I don't know whether to say that's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but it is an encouraging thing.
Yes, and of course, those who don't know, Renee, of course, was one of the true fighters and champions of for medical cannabis. I know there's a story of her how she lit up a marijuana cigarette in the, I think in Congress, one of the congressman's offices or something like that, right? And
yeah,
and
Terry
she passed away on 9/11 last year.
Terry's spoken at some of our rallies herself. She's a bit of a little person in the state too.
And of course, tell us what's been going on with you otherwise.
Well, I'm staying out of trouble, and when there are things going on in town here, I do try to get to the courthouse, as Michael knows. And yesterday, I had the opportunity to thank the sting narcotics officer that arrested me face-to-face, shake his hand, and explain to him that thanks to him, I have gotten better educated on cannabis and what's going on in the cannabis community, and I made some good friends, and I have a better quality of life now.
And just to put a little backdrop on this story, me and Terry had spoken about, she had some negative encounters with law enforcement because it was very, very devastating to her. But the point of what she's talking about, I think, is that she's been able to change her perspective on all of this and feels that she, as awful as it was, came out on the other end a better person, if that's possible. But it shows you the spirit at which she is operating. Very challenging to do, but... it's like fighting back with compassion where it's needed instead of anger and hostility. And we talked about it in terms of letting go of some of that baggage that comes potentially, right? Am I talking about the right thing?
Yes, because that's the way Renee Wolf tried to deal with people. You try to do and deal with everybody by staying calm and being beautiful.
There you go. That should be the new mantra for all activists, all lawyers. Maybe they'd be better. And no, but it's true. We don't have to lose our heads about things, and you're always going to get. If you can articulate someone and get someone to agree instead of yelling at them and tell them that you're wrong, it's a better way. And I do think right now it's an important time, in a critical time. Much of which, credit goes to people like Renee Wolf, but the conversation is real, and the more educated people are, the more that, people can educate others and to get an understanding about it, which is really, kind of the theme of Renee, as she herself was a example of that. I mean, she was a spirit moving through the world as an example of someone that benefited from medical cannabis.
Anandamide, brother. She would always say, anandamide.
Right, and so that's really, I think, what you're trying to say, right?
that, and she taught me how to become disabled a lot more gracefully, if that makes any sense.
No.
Instead of whining all the time, saying, I can't, you say, oh, yes, I can, I'm going to do this. Oh, yes, I can, watch me. She never gave up that fight. She lived life with spunk and zest.
Every day, every minute is precious, right? If we all lived in the moment, it would be a much better place.
Yes.
Is the beauty of every day.
And make other people, even though your life is miserable, the whole point is to make everybody else's life better. If you can understand that. Because by making other people's day better, you make your own day better.
You know, I was watching something this morning, and it was like a TED Talk. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. But they were talking about one of the ways in which people feel better overall, like how they can be better people. There's a number of different things, but like gratitude and doing random acts of kindness as, being meaningful things that people can get, present upon, and it's a good way to ground yourself when your thoughts are erratic and, overflowing in today's world of, those are some things that really bring people back to the reality of why we're here and the things that are, important, and people can gain meaning in those things. So this has been a fascinating little tidbit, but I think the important thing is that Terry's message here, I think, is really that it's the power of positive thinking, and creating the positive energy and keeping the word of Renee Wolf, candle burning.
Yes, thank you so much for helping me sum that up the way I wanted to, kind of.
I hear you.
But the way Renee felt about Uncle Pete's cannabis camp, she felt that was her rainbow farm. So forever, when I see a rainbow, I'm going to think of Renee Wolf and all the other cannabis warriors being in that pot of gold at the bottom of the rainbow,
nice.
Safe from all the other things going on in the world.
Nice.
So, God bless.
Thank you. You too, Terry. It's always good to hear from you. Please keep calling in the show, and it was nice to see you the other day.
Well, thank you.
All right. Take care.
You take care. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, Terry. Nice to talk to you.
All right. We now are going to go to the Cannabis Crusader, the Michigan chapter of the Human Solutions. Steve Green is still there. Thanks for sticking it out with us, Steve, and being there for the call and also for what you do for the community. How are things? And please update us on things.
Well, good evening, guys. How you all doing?
Good evening.
Today we had a win in Washtenaw County. Ms. Herringhouse had her case dismissed in district court.
What judge? Oh, in district court? What judge?
I can't recall the name off the top of my head, but
was it at the service center?
What's that?
Was it at the service center over in off of Hogback?
No, it was on Washtenaw, 3144 or something.
Like a newer building?
And, yeah.
So what happened? The judge threw it out and the prosecutor was upset?
Yeah, he said, made a comment that he knew this judge would throw out all of them. So it was an interesting one. He said, well, maybe I can win today. I might lose tomorrow, but I can maybe win today. And just reminded me that how gross of a waste of taxpayers' money it is to even have the attitude that, I'm going to lose in the long run, but I can drag this out or, get a showboat ride on this one for a little bit. But the judge made a really good call and threw it out. And
what was the basis? What was the basis? Was it based on a medical defense or like a Section 4, Section 8, a search warrant? How would you describe
it? It was a Section 8, basically, is what it would have been based. She had her card. The card expired, and she renewed her card before she entered the court, and that was all it took.
I'd call it a Section 4. I'd call it a Section 4. It's interesting. And
Nicholson variant.
Yeah, but here's the point, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, when someone's card expires and they haven't renewed, even and I'm aware of only 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe up to 5 or 6 months. I'm gonna test it with a 1 year without another case. But when the card is sent back out, there's no lapse. It's not like they send you a new card with a new number. I've only seen it. The card is renewed, and the card you get is the original issuance date plus now 2 years from, you see what I'm saying?
Right, and I don't believe anywhere in Section 4 does it say valid. Valid card. So yeah, it's just when you get the new card, it doesn't matter if it lapses, it still comes back. No. Like
what I'm saying is, even if it's been 5 months, I know this for a fact. 5 or 6 months, their card expired. They waited 5 months and sent in a new patient application. They got their card renewed, and there was no break in the patient's valid card, meaning the issuance date was still the original issuance date, and it didn't end with the day that the card lapsed. The card reflected a valid card from the beginning of their first certification plus the 2 years for the new law, the new extension on that, and there was no break. And
seems like it would have something to do with their processing lag. Most likely, is why they're doing that in a lot of cases.
Well, I think it's kind of what Steve said,
there was a lot of confusion over the new application as well, and that caused a lot of back and forth too.
Well, I just don't think they're going to process new numbers. Right? It isn't going to be financially, instead of them just reissuing a new card, they got to probably set up a whole new account. They got to delete another one. They got to get a new card, a new number. There may be a little bit of effort to that. I thought it was more like what Steve had said, which was, well, just because your card expires doesn't mean you're no longer a patient. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I want to look at that. So, Steve, what else is going on? So you saw victory today. That's always good. That's a Section 4 win for Jim. I like that.
Yeah, always nice to see a win. I don't care if they want to give them a win because it's a cloudy day outside. A win is a win, and another patient got to have their life back without going through too much, and that's what it's about. We also had 2 status conferences, Schneider and Spindley. Those went all right. Of course, as you know, those are, even the patient and the defendant are oftentimes locked out, and it's just an attorney meeting. But they felt comfortable that those went all right. We have a trial coming up for David Overholt out in Grand Rapids. We had a couple of new people
I was asked some questions by a reporter that was covering that. And they were asking questions whether, how often these other cases go to trial and what has been the status of things. And the reporter was not certain facts. I was curious to know, like, how the pretrial motions had gone. Like, it was scheduled for trial on Monday, I think, right? Is there, were they successful at their Section 8 hearing in at least getting the judge to rule that a medical defense could be used? Because according to the reporter, he thought that their whole theory was a caregiver-to-caregiver transfers. But I could be wrong. It was a lot of misinformation. What can you report on that?
Yes, the way he operated was caregiver-to-caregiver transfers, and Section 8 was partially successful because he is allowed to use a medical marijuana defense. And so he's prepared to, let the jury hear the truth and go from there.
Okay.
And we had a couple of new arrests. What's that?
Are you going to go to the trial on Monday?
Yeah, we plan on having a group at the trial as well.
It's in where, Grand Rapids?
Yep, Kent County Courthouse.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm curious on that. It's interesting that the judge let him get to a jury. I just saw, for example, a judge in Bay County ruled negatively in a dispensary case, first on the lenity issue and due process, and also
Section 8.
Section 8, and meaning they're not going to let him have a medical marijuana defense. And I got a case up there as well that we've been fighting. Different judge, but same
I
persecutor.
wonder how they're going to effectuate that, though. Are they going to gag them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, what they did.
Old style Oakland County.
No, I think even the prosecutor wouldn't ask for that because I don't know. But the idea there was that that's the whole point. Like you don't get a jury instruction, but it would be impossible to not have obvious, presentation that it was a dispensary because the transfers are.
Evidence is going to be out there. Everything is surrounding the cards and.
Steve, go on. So tell us.
Yeah, even in David's case, it's quite interesting because at one of the hearings they decided that the shop could stay open, but he was banned from going within 100 feet of it. So it really just goes to show you that I don't know that they're clear on what they're doing or how they're ruling. It's just kind of chaos as they go. And then we had two more new ones that came in, and Mayor Vinstra out of Clare County Compassion, and his court dates are going to be in Standish, and John Roberts out of Michigan Cannabis Cancer Project, and his court dates are out there in Port Huron. We also have the Wooten case coming up, as well as Corbin sentencing coming up. And so it's still action-packed, and, as the Human Solution, we're a national group, but, Michigan seems to be getting more and more cases than any other state right now, and it seems to be alarming that we're leading the way, and I don't think it's in a positive direction as far as court cases go, but I'm very proud of everyone that's, standing up for their rights and not backing down with the intimidation and terroristic tactics that are often employed on people in these situations.
It is terrible. It's but I do believe, Stephen, all of this is there'll be a time, I think we're all certain that lawyers won't be involved and doctors won't be involved in these discussions anymore, and it is just a step, it's a means to an end, unfortunately, and but all of it's for the better cause of humanity. I mean, that's I think why everyone's in on this. I think that whatever the consequences and the risk that result in the consequences was worth it, and the battle's worth it because the principles and the concepts that we've come to know as truths are important to fight for. And it's part of our freedom and. The being American and, believing in the system, wanting it to work, and using the system to try to effectuate change. I mean, that's the whole underlying theme here.
Yeah, today we were leaving dinner as I was getting ready to call in, and we got caught up by a family I'd never met before, but someone we had been able to help before. Learned how to make some oil and was able to help their mom with stage 4 cancer. And, it's just that goes back to reinforcing why a lot of people do what they do here. And, to have a family, that's complete strangers run up and hug you and be crying with joy really, really motivates people to why you're doing it.
It is, a lot of people are really benefiting from the cannabis. It was amazing the way that you mentioned John Roberts' case. Just the people that really, get tremendous results from that, people who are relying upon it, and it's tragic when it happens. I mean, we actually had the police officer in that case admit that he had taken this oil from this patient that was in a wheelchair. And I said, patient's allowed to get it from anybody. Isn't that the law? That's not what I understand about it. I mean, it was such a, it's still dark days. There's still there's not, and we talked, it's funny because a lot of the conversation tonight, and you may agree with this, is about.
I'll be right back.
Are you with us? No. So
yeah, I'm with you. Sorry about that.
A lot of the discussion tonight has been about, in a lot of ways esoteric, policy, strategizing, the evolution and the bigger picture. But, the reality is, and, I'm, when my involvement in this, I just have this, I see it the way that you're seeing it, which is that there's a lot of, tragedy and just absolute belligerence imposed upon, citizens. And when you see how the system's working and treating it, and I mean, I got to tell you, I had a conversation with a prosecutor. You'll like this one, and then you can talk about it. But I said, why don't you just dismiss the fucking case? It's 5 years old, and I got a good case. They're going to do this, and she said, I can't. I said, what do you mean you can't?
Good.
She said, the narcotics team won't let me. They have to have a conviction. I said, what? Why in the world are they telling you how this thing is going down? And just showed you, and I think, I don't know, the underlying theme of, I think, a lot of my questions is who's going to own the big money here? It's such a resource that exists. You see it. You see the way that they manipulate people. Take your license. You got to pay to get your license back. Court costs. You got to pay him to supervise. You got to pay him to test your pee. It's a joke. But go ahead. Final thoughts.
Yeah, it's. I think you nailed it there. Me and my wife are at over $2,500, and that's just in drug test and alcohol sampling. I was pulled over again the other day by the same state trooper that pulled me over 9 months ago, and he asked me if I had any warrants, and I said no. I'm still awaiting a jury trial from the first one you got me pulled over on, and it just shows that they're making such amount of money off of this, and job security to the highest.
It is offensive, very offensive. All right, so any final thoughts in terms of upcoming events or comments on anything?
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and give everyone the website, www.ths-mi.org, and there you'll find a Google Calendar and all the events that are coming up. We'll be attending quite a few court dates, and it's really showing a lot of support for people, and it's a grassroots effort. So I encourage everyone, if you haven't been to a court date, they're all over. So there's one local near you. Come on out and take a look.
Steve, thanks for all you do. Appreciate your hard work. And as I say every week, it's always nice. I know for my clients and myself included, when you have the support there, and you look out into the back of the court, and there's people there that are rooting for you. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I know all the people that have been unfortunately dragged in the system do as well. So my best to you and your family, and have a good night, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
Thank you. You guys too.
Take care, Steve. We're gonna let's do a little wrap up here, and then we'll cut it loose. We'll say we're way past the 15 minutes. 4-minute wrap up. Jamie, you've been quiet and distracted.
All right. Well, Steph Shear's coming into town this weekend, and as Michigan ASA chapter board member, we are helping to facilitate that. So we're looking forward to the meeting tomorrow and Friday, and the raid training is Saturday, and then her representing National ASA at the NPRA fundraiser.
In a big hotel.
Rick, you want to wrap it?
Absolutely. The crown jewel of the weekend is naturally the NPRA fundraiser that's been planned for months. But one of the things that's on the must-hit list this weekend, you've got to get down on Friday to Andrews on the River to hear Steph Shearer, National Chairman from ASA, talking about the Department of Justice, the Cole memos that you heard Hunter mentioning too, and how they relate to the Michigan scene. It's a very confusing topic, and it's an outstanding opportunity for free to come down and listen to a national figure give a talk of relevance on an issue that just happened in Washington, D.C. 2-3 days ago. So don't miss this opportunity, folks. It's a free opportunity.
Chad, you got any comments on the show tonight? You're kind of quiet. I know this is your favorite topic. We're in the wrap-up. No one listens to this, don't worry.
Yeah.
Listen to the music. What?
No, it's great. I'm sure the future is all in here somewhere.
That's so chattiest, isn't it? We should come up with things that are called like that's a chattism.
Drive you from your fear. Bring you through.
It's like when it throws a conversation into the most esoteric of contemplation of non-committal. I'm just kidding. No one's committed in this.
That's going to be Wikipedia pretty soon. Someone will do. It'll be pop culture all of a sudden.
Listen, I think tonight represents a couple things. First, we can have a show and we can talk to all these people and not take a position. I think we flushed out what the issues are. You can see that there's a momentum in some particular direction. I mean, whether we're asking them questions on the show or not, it's happening. So let's understand it. Let's see where, and there's no question the most important thing is that wherever anyone's standing, there should be a representation at the table without question. I mean, there's things that are happening. I think everyone agrees that the short term, the grow aspect has to be removed. Everyone I think who's on and supports it says that. It'll be interesting to see because I think that this is really the challenge. What do you think, Jamie? Is that going to happen? What is the real word on it today? It seems like it's in rewriting, and what Robin said, it left in some about cultivating, and then.
Well, I think you mentioned the concern about where the supply comes from, and the intent has always been from the caregiver system. But there was the wording in there that literally said, although it wasn't intended, but literally said that the provisioning centers could produce an unlimited amount of their own medicine and sell it. So that was not intended, and that would cut into the caregiver system at that point. So she was pointing out they are taking that language out, probably adding in a mandating testing, maybe some other considerations, and we'll have to see, when it gets to Judiciary Committee, what shape it's in.
I don't know, but you can see there's a national trend. I mean, that's the one thing that's going on. There's the discussions are not about. They're not about. How can we regulate caregivers to find their place in a regulated economic market? Although everyone, I think, agrees that they should. Mm-hmm. It's less of a discussion. You guys have a comment on that?
One of the things about what Hunter said is that, and if he points to several different national models in different states, he mentioned how D.C. can't get anybody to come in the shops, but Vermont just opened their fourth, and that was out of demand from the public because out of an anticipated 75 persons per facility, they're up to 175, and they can't keep up with current regulations. So there are successful models, and there are other models that may be too restrictive to be functional.
What state was that you just mentioned?
Vermont.
Who supplies the dispensaries?
The individual dispensaries themselves grow for themselves.
So what does that mean? So they have a whole group and lose it in homes, or they have a centralized centralized warehouse?
Centralized system. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm not that familiar with Vermont's thing. I can just tell you what I read from the article today prior to doing the news.
Meaning that it's a dispensary model of a distribution, and they are functioning, and it's they've opened their fourth one. I understand what you're saying.
Correct. Yep. But when they originally made the plan, it was one per county, I believe, and there's only 3 counties in Vermont, so something along those lines. In that instance, they've had to open the additional one, and they've got I talked about in the news last week how Washington had just decided how the recreational market was going to be distributed, and they included an entire breakdown of exactly how many could be in each city, in each county, in each area.
So those type of plans are out there, and they're going to be proven or disproven, and some of them, unfortunately, just going to take a couple years for us to learn about.
We have to do stuff that fits our particular situation in our own states and what is going to be viable for each set of circumstances as we go along, and some of these things will prove to be more functional than others.
And let's wrap it up right there. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Planet Green Trees. We're calling this one, was it 165, Jeff Irwin and Marijuana Reform. We did have a really good show. I do have to say that week in and week out, we've just had great guests that have a great perspective on things. Jamie, I want to give it up to all your hard work in putting it together. But, just the perspective that we laid out there from where things are in Michigan and timely. And good job. Good job, everybody. All right. We're great. Just kidding. All right. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for listening. Be safe.